Good morning. Now, countrymen, please, in finance, when we talk about haircuts, it's simply about devaluation of your money, your resource, or whatever. Now, in my paraphrase, or in my ordinary interpretation, I would use Samson in the book of Judges as an example. You know, Samson is a man of extraordinary strength. Now, the source of his strength is the hair. Unfortunately, he was told not to marry the lady from the Philistines. But for love's sake, she engaged in it. Now, the lady was able to identify his source of energy. Then, cajoled him to sleep, sewed his hair, and while she was asleep, he commanded the people whom she had sewed the hair to come and cut off the hair. When she was asleep, it means that when he was asleep, it means that when he was vulnerable, it was that time that the wife, the governor, who was supposed to take care of the vulnerable Samson, the vulnerable citizens, that vulnerable citizen who has trusted so much everything about him to his vulnerable wife, his loyal wife, our loyal government. Then his loyal wife sold him out. That is when he was vulnerable. That was Samson. The same applies to our country today. That a country which does not take care of his vulnerable people is a country that we don't need to suffer in working for the country. And when we have such intent that our country, it doesn't worth dying for our country, then simply put, we are killing our country. Our country has no future. Our leaders, who are supposed to be our loyal men who we have to put our trust in them, and will end up killing us. Now, look at this. We started when this government came into power. We saw the collapse of banks. We saw how they were able to, in fact, what is it? Gold or whatever they call it. Now, once a bank. Banks collapsed. Up to today, now one is owing citizens and they have not been. They doesn't even want to, and nobody cares. We were expecting government to put now one to order. They did not. This government looks as if it doesn't care for the citizens. It doesn't care for us at all. We have traveled all this while to today. And even when the countrymen were suffering and talking and saying to government, stop certain things that you are doing because it will affect us, they cared less. Now that they have gone into difficulties, they are still enjoying. And they feel that where they can get money to solve their problem is to cut the hair of the vulnerable people. Now, why did I use Samson? When you cut the hair of Samson, of the people, when Samson's hair was cut, he ended up dying. He has no energy, and the people gouge off his eye, and then they use him as something to be tilling the factory machine and whatever there is. Eventually, he gathered strength and pulled off the pillars of the palace and died. In his case, he was able to gather strength. What about the vulnerable people in Ghana? the vulnerable citizens? Is Nana Akufo-Addo loyal so much to protect the vulnerable people, for which he has asked his loyal finance minister to take care of us? How are they taking care of the vulnerables? Today, here we are. A lot of the people whose monies have locked up in NAM1 Gold or whatever they call that company have died and they are still dying. We saw a video telecast or whatever on the TV3. An old man who was looking for his money ended up dying without government doing anything. Here we are. The vulnerable, how do you call it? The pensioners, the vulnerable individual bond holders and addicts. Government don't care. Government don't care whatever they do. They don't care because they are feeling comfortable. The money that the people will use to pay for their hospital bills, to be able to take care of themselves and what to even eat, and even what to take transport, you are collecting from them. You have increased tariffs. You have increased utility bills. Which money do you expect the people to get to go and be able to pay these tariffs, take their transportation, buy water to drink? President Nana Akufo-Addo, Ken Ofori-Atta. It looks as if you can't manage the thing again. Why don't you invite other people to sit down? You alone go. Look, if you go to IMF and all you could do is to come to the country and you are saying to your countrymen and you are saying that these are the conditions. Your conditions is come and cut people's hair and virtually killing them because they will die. They will die out of starvation, and they are dying already. If these conditions were what they give you to come and do, and you think it is the right thing, my brothers, you have failed. My leaders, you have failed. We beg you, this thing will not work. Country that doesn't take care of its vulnerable citizens is no worth dying for. Countrymen, let's talk for what is wrong, what's wrong they are doing against us. And leaders of this country, please reason up and do what is right. Thank you, and may God bless you.